I saw a picture and a signature, L. Howard King, M.D., and a paragraph. And I thought, okay, I'll read this, and it blew me away.
What comes to light is what a dedicated, courageous, and professional woman she was.
To think of a woman as doing all this on her own was a little unusual. All the universities turned her down when she applied, and she couldn't understand that. Because she thought that men and women ought to have equal rights. And so she went to the States and got her degree in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And they seemed to appreciate her interests and her ability very much.
Leonora graduated with honors from medical school in 1876, and the following year, at age 26, set sail for China with the Women's Foreign Missionary Society.
It must have been enormously daunting. I can't imagine doing that kind of thing myself in 1877. It was daunting enough my going to China by myself in 1993. Learning the language was I think it's very hard for Westerners to learn Chinese. And also being accepted as a Western doctor. She needed help, and she got help from royalty, which is very, very lucky. A lot of the missionaries ended up with their heads chopped off. A lot of the missionaries ended up giving up and going home. She just hung in there for many, many years and did tremendous work.
She was the first woman and the first physician to treat women and children in China. The Chinese, of course, did not want male doctors looking after their women, so she was in a perfect position to gain their trust. And she also ministered to Lady Li, who was the Viceroy's wife. And through that connection, she was involved in setting up several hospitals, first for women and children, but then they also treated men all through the various wars that were going on through China in that time. And she set up the first medical college for women in China. And certainly that, I think maybe that was, those two things, the hospitals and the college, were probably her greatest contributions.
Leonora spent her entire career, 47 years, in China. She survived not only her frequent bouts of malaria, but she lived through floods and famine, riots, revolutions, and war.
Her courage and determination to continue looking after her patients at a time when there was great danger to the missionaries. And initially when she came, they were known as foreign devils. So it wasn't a kindly environment for her. And yet the other thing that was sort of noted and talked about was her gentleness and the fact that she I think loved and respected the Chinese people, and that is probably why she was able to stay in the country through that time, because it was very dangerous.
Leonora was more than accepted by the Chinese. In fact, she was held in such high esteem by those she treated and taught that she was granted the Order of the Double Dragon.
Think also that this lady became a mandarin of the Chinese court. A white woman, a Western woman, a Canadian became a mandarin. This was unheard of. She was knighted in a sense, and she was allowed to wear ermine, which no other person could wear in China except a mandarin. And she had the umbrella of honor, and she was entitled to an entourage wherever she went.
I have a picture in her book where she is dressed in the garb that she was wearing when she was honored by the Empress Dowager of China. She's wearing long dress, and ermine furs and a hat with a plume and all the rest of it. And she did appreciate the honor.
Honored by the Chinese, Leonora wasn't forgotten by her friends and family in Ontario. She returned only twice to Canada, the last visit in the summer of 1923, 2 years prior to her death.
She was never paid a penny for any of the work that she did. The funds all came through the missionary societies. And so she was just dedicated to looking after sick people and to creating an environment where they could be treated. And so I think that that is the, that is something that perhaps we should remember and remind ourselves in Canada, that this is what we are all about.
I certainly encourage all young women to take Leonora as a mentor, as somebody to look up to. I am so glad that she is finally being honored in the Canadian Medical Hall of Fame. This is her honor due.
And as Margaret said in her book, that it was just like something out of the Arabian Nights. Her life was so fantastic.